will greet you while hearing words, which is Habaragani. That means, what is the news of the day? Now, your response is to use one of the 7 principles, and today the principle is Imani, which is faith. If I say this is Habaragani, you say faith. Habaragani.
Imani.
Habaragani.
Imani.
Imani means what?
Faith.
What is faith? Something that you believe in. Anybody else want to add to that? Yeah, and basically it is you have to have faith. If you go to your Bible, you hear and see in there faith, the sign, and the size of the mustard seed and return into the tree. So that is what we celebrate today. Now you got here just in time, because I'm just ready to go get into why we are here. This is part of the style. In South Carolina, actually from North Carolina to Florida. It was founded in 1678. Now, to give you a reference, Charleston was founded in 1670. So in 8 years, this plantation was up and running. It was so large and so expansive that it was said that you could not land on James Island without setting foot on the McLeod Plantation property. Now, I said land because this is one of the sea islands. And we ride bridges now and take it for granted, but when those bridges weren't here, these islands were isolated, and the only way you could get from one island to the other primarily was by boat. Now, some people were brave and they jumped in the water with the alligators, but not many. Okay, so that was, in a way, that kind of acted as an insulator to help us keep a lot of our Gullah culture, because there were so many Africans who cultivated the rice. Because when we first started this colony, their biggest import was the trees, lumber, then indigo. And then when the rice was introduced to this area and they saw that it could be a real economic boom, that's when Charleston took off. And like I said earlier, by 1850, Charleston was second only to New York City in wealth and prosperity, all off the rice trade. And that rice trade was carried on our backs. And people, when they talk about rice, the rice trade, yeah, well, them old ignorant black folks, they don't talk right. You tell them, you say the word street, and they say screet. They say shrimp, we say shrimp, they say swimp. We say they say they. That has nothing to do with the intelligence. That's all cultural. In many West African cultures, there is no such thing as an SHR sound. So shrimp became swimp. There was no STR sound in West African languages, so street became screet. No TH sound, so anything with a TH was replaced with a D. They became they. Them became them. Had nothing to do with intelligence. Matter of fact, it was the intelligence that brought us here in the first place. Our ability to cultivate rice on a mass scale. And we were masters at it. Some people now still wonder how they could look at a lay of land and lay on such it would have like a slight decline. One side they would fill it up and flood it. And when the sprigs jumped up out of the water, they could go to the other side and they could drain it. Now, they didn't have the T-squares and all the other architectural tools to do that, but they knew how to do it, and as a result, Charleston prospered. This particular plantation, again, like I said, was one of the early plantations. They did do some rice, but they also did a lot of the vegetables and stuff that grew here. Now, the reason that we're here is because about 20 years ago, the City of Charleston, which owned this property at the time, decided they wanted to build a fire station. And they were going to build the fire station right there. And so as they started digging, they found some bones. And they said, oh, we found the body. They dug some more. They found some more until they found 32 bodies in there, so they stopped to dig it. Started doing a little bit of research and come to find out that this was an early African slave cemetery. So when word got out that this was a cemetery, they stopped their efforts to build the firehouse, and this thing went national pretty soon. And so what happened was Fielding's Home for Funerals, they came out, they donated a coffin. They took some of the remains and put them in a coffin, and we took them and we had a symbolic ride from Charleston all the way out here to inter those bones to give respect to all those who had passed away. So every year, as part of our 7-day ceremony, we come out here to give honor to those who came before us. And those who came before us, most of those who came here around that time probably were born in Africa. They were true Africans who were brought here. So a lot of them have many of their traditional Africanisms that they carry even in the house. You ever go by a house out on an island or someplace and you see blue around the doors and the windows? That's African. In some African cultures, blue around the doors and windows keep away evil spirits.